All right, we're here with Between Rounds and a good friend of mine, one of the best coaches in this business, Mr. Eric Nicksick. How you doing, baby?
Good, Coach. Thanks for having me on.
Man, this is so cool because we see each other kind of running past each other in the hallways or have fights, and you always do such a good job. And actually, getting to do this, I've done some research on you, so it's pretty cool to see some of the stories and see where you came from, and I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. I look up to you a ton, and I was talking to House last time I was doing his podcast, and he was like, who's some of your influences in this game, and you came to mind right away because, I remember when Fallis passed away, you were always there for me right away, and I felt like I had this connection that I missed when Robert passed away. So when I see you, I have this, like this big brother feel that I get when I don't have Robert in my life. So.
Well, what an amazing guy he was.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to talk about him because I think he's been a huge influence on this whole sport and kind of maybe not unsung, but I think underappreciated.
Agreed.
Let's start back at the beginning.
Sure.
So you're a football player from the start. Were you always a wide receiver?
I played pretty much everything. Quarterback when I was young, and then by the time I got to high school, I was kind of a just athlete. They were plug and play wherever I needed to be. Sometimes it was running back, sometimes it was receiver, safety, but I never left the field. So it wasn't until about my junior year when you start getting recruited. My dad was our defensive coordinator. My dad was pretty set on putting me in a position that I was going to get recruited. So college was to start looking at me, and that ended up being receiver. So senior year, broke the Nevada State reception record. I was first team All-State. Just started putting some numbers up.
Did you have a good quarterback?
I did. But unfortunately, with a quarterback situation, I had a really good throwing quarterback the first 4 or 5 games of the year, and then he got hurt.
Oh.
So then the options were either I move to back to quarterback, or we have more of a running style quarterback and I stay at receiver. But I was putting up some good numbers at receiver, so my thought was, whatever the team needs, I'll do, but I wanted to stay at receiver. So my production went down a little bit, but what happened was on tape, it was more about, blocking for me.
Oh.
So, when you're getting recruited or people are looking at you, it's like, how do you look on film? Are you dogging it? You might not, the play not be designed for you, but are you cracking back? Are you trying to block? Are you trying to be involved in the play? And that's essentially what ended up being why I got recruited to play safety, was because I'll put my nose in there and hit the linebackers and stuff like that. So I use this opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Because it's easy to show your highlight.
Sure.
Oh, look at this sideline catch I made, or look at this big highlight. But what are you doing when the ball's on the other side?
100%.
You know what I mean? When it's not coming to you. That's awesome. What number were you?
I wore number 10.
10?
Yeah.
So you play anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you were Travis Hunter is what you're saying before Travis Hunter came.
Without the speed.
So your dad and your uncles were coaches, huh?
Yeah, my dad was our defensive coordinator. My uncle was the linebackers coach, strength and conditioning coach. My other uncle was the dean at the school. Yeah, so I didn't get away with a whole lot.
I was going to say, every hallway you turned down, somebody was looking out for you.
And then like all the coaches that I had on the team were guys that I've grown up around, because my dad had been coaching for, my entire life. So a lot of those coaches I've known for a long period of time. And the nice thing too for me is I'm still in contact with a lot of those guys. Like I still hear from Coach Jarvis and Coach Sinkovich and guys that I played under, which I think is very cool for where you and I are at now as coaches. Those guys get to see their lineage through me in a different sport. Like
boy, how proud they must feel.
Oh, 100%. They love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're tuning in every time you're on TV.
Exactly.
I saw you 10. I saw you on TV.
Yeah. Coach calls me Dime. So like, Dime, let's go, Dime. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you feel like those human beings helped you grow into a coach, or is that something that never came into your mind?
It's such a huge instrument in helping me become the man that I am today.
Yeah.
There were so many times I think like as a young punk, like I was a, brash, punky kid and learning how to be coached correctly and putting my ego aside and learning how to be a teammate.
Yeah. Learning
how to take direction, but also give direction. Those guys taught me all of that. And a lot of times they taught me just by their own example alone, My dad was I would say he's quiet, and my uncle was very loud and boisterous, My dad kind of just let everything be coached the way it needed to be, where my Uncle David was the linebackers, put you run your head through a wall kind of guy.
That's that comes with the position.
100%.
And he's the strength and conditioning coach. So you know those guys are psychopaths.
Yeah. So I mean, that, and a lot of times too, I think my dad leaned more on my uncle to be the bad guy in those situations, and it worked.
Well, I mean, you always need that bad cop, good cop.
100%.
It's hard to be both of those at the same time. And you played in college too, right?
Yeah, I went to Reno first, and I graduated high school early. My Uncle Dave was really steadfast on holding me back. He's like, and early too, because I was young for my grade. Yeah. So like 8th grade, I remember him talking to my mom and dad about like, hey, we need to hold him back one more year and put him with his age group. And at the time, it was kind of up to me. It was my choice. Right. I was balling. I was doing everything. It wasn't a skill thing. It was a maturity thing, but also very strategic thing. Looking back at it, it was like, hey, we can physically get him to develop more. Another year of football. So all the numbers I'm putting up as a junior or as a senior should have been my junior year. Right. And so I graduated young for my grade. I go to Reno, and again, it wasn't a physical thing. Like you said, it was a maturity thing. Yeah. Now I'm out of the house. Now I'm in Reno. Now it's like you're in the dorms. It's girls. It's parties. It's this. It's that. Football goes by the wayside.
Freedom to do whatever you want.
Freedom to do whatever you want. And it was like, drinking every night, getting in fights. Then you get up and go, do your S&C or whatever we do with the football team. Because we're all red-shirted, so you aren't really doing a whole lot of anything but getting in trouble. Right. So
I can't imagine that doesn't seem like you at all.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I look back and think about that person or the people that like I'm still in contact with that have known me forever, they know that real side of me. But it took me. I got kicked out of school for getting in a fight, and it was a bad one. And I got arrested for it. It got me kicked out of school. And what it ended up doing is kind of hanging around and getting me in trouble all the way. I mean, staying on my record until I tested for the fire department, and it really, really hampered me. So it was something
terrible too. As you're a kid, at some point you got to go, all right, that's just boys being boys.
Exactly.
Our modern day society where you can't say the wrong tone of voice or somebody's going to sue. You're not appreciating whatever they're about. Right. It's like boys are going to scrap. If the other person's all right, everything's all right.
That's exactly what I felt about. Yeah.
If you're healthy, we're good.
Yeah.
But you went to Dixie State, is that right?
Yeah. So I left there. It was a funny story. So my mom told me before I left for college, she goes, if you ever get thrown in jail, do not call me. Do not call
your uncle.
Yeah, exactly. So I get thrown in jail and I'm stuck. And I'm like, all my friends are like, dude, what do we do? How do we get you out? And I'm like, bro, they'll let me out on my own recognizance. Like I'm just going to sit here until however long. And then my best friend at the time, we grew up together, and he's like, dude, I got to call your mom. So he calls my mom and says to my mom, like, where's the title to Eric's truck? And she's like, in the safety deposit box. Like, why? What's the matter? And she's like, well, we're trying to get all this money together to bail him out of jail. And she's just like, well, call his dad or call his uncle, basically.
That's funny.
So my dad was sitting on the golf course, and then she called my dad, and my dad's like, oh, I can't leave him in there. So my old man flew up, got me out, and then I just remember like driving back home from Reno with my dad, like 8-hour drive in my car.
How quiet was that?
Just crickets, But thank God, because I mean, he's a guy's guy, and we're in the car. He's like, "What do you want to do, man?" And I was like, "I want to see if Dixie still will honor my scholarship offer, and I want to go play football." Yeah. So he said, "Let's go." So I was home for about a week, packed up, went down to Dixie, called Coach Croshaw. He said, yeah, scholarship's still available. If he wants it, come out. So I was out there pretty much like end of November, beginning of December.
When I heard you went there, I did not think that was going to be in St. George, Utah.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be in Mobile, Alabama.
No, yeah. You know what I mean? Hear the name, yeah.
I was like, Dixie.
Yeah.
And you were the Rebels back then?
Dixie Rebels. Man. We weren't even Dixie State. We were Dixie Rebels. Then it got changed to the Bisons because of the Rebel name. Yep. And then they ended up changing it to like Dixie State. And then I think it's Utah Tech now.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? That's funny. Is that funny for you to look back and see how much it changed?
Oh, dude, St. George is amazing. Yeah. And it was a perfect change of pace for me that I needed. It became everything was focused directly to football. There's not a lot you can do out there. You can get yourself in some trouble. But for the most part, I mean, you're really strictly focused on working out and getting your shit done.
Did you have a good time there?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's a beautiful city though.
Beautiful city. And we were good. Like we played for back-to-back national championships. We were playing, top level talent. At the time, Dixie was one of those schools where junior colleges didn't really give scholarships, but Dixie did. So it attracted a lot of good athletes. And we had Florida guys, Tennessee guys, LSU guys, all that were non-qualifiers or guys with a problem with their grades.
Right.
They'd come out to Dixie. And then we had the group of Hawaiians, right?
Those guys are trouble.
Bangers.
Oh my gosh.
Bangers. So we had some of the best talent I've ever seen on the football field were these guys coming from St. Louis and Waianae and those Hawaiian schools. And that's actually kind of where I ended up becoming like really good friends with the Polynesian culture.
Yeah.
So Chris Bagofe I played with, and he's a legend in Waianae football. That's how I met Maki. That's how I met a lot of these guys cool. in the fight game now.
Well, and those guys I love those guys.
For sure.
Maki, what a good dude he is. Great coach too. Turned into an excellent coach.
Amazing coach.
So you went back, you're a bartender, doing your thing. What a what a fortunate turn of events that you walked in and those people were there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I see some pictures of you, still friends with Mike Piles, still know John Alessio. Dennis Davis is a coach with you. You guys are still good friends. How amazing is that happened like almost 20 years ago and you guys are still doing your thing?
It means the world to me. It really does because, just to be able to have those guys as a resource still to this day. And it's funny, like, I always feel like that little brother to Mike and to Jay and, Alessio at the time. I mean, John and I are the same age, but he was fighting Pat Miletich when he was 20 years old. It's crazy. And now he's in a career in the police department and doing his thing. But it really means the world to me to be able to see what we've accomplished together. And that group of like the names that you said, we're all still in the same room together. We're still doing the same thing. Amazing. And so it's super important to me.
Jay Huron too. Like I left that one out, but still, culture's everything, and that's become sort of celebrated nowadays. Everybody knows that buzzword, but to understand it and live it is a different thing.
Yeah.
And you've been living it since you walked into those doors. You couldn't find the story was that you said you couldn't even see the sign.
Yeah.
Like looking through the doors, wondering what they're doing in there.
Yeah. Randy was getting ready for Tim Sylvia. Yeah. And I
Good thing you weren't taller.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it was, Mike, I was like, I think I just got, I was pretty much done with football, but I was about 230 pounds, and Mike's like, hey, come in, start learning, start training. And just, I was a body to get the shit kicked out of,
That's amazing though. I love that. And that's probably spoke to how you have created, starting with your uncles and your dad, creating a culture where you take care of each other, moving on to these and you find those guys, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Man, how amazing is that?
That was the one thing I kind of noticed coming from a football background was these guys were more obviously the martial artist side of things, but what I felt they lacked in was the camaraderie of the team.
Yeah.
It was at the time, it felt like a very individual sport where, if a guy fought and he was done, he wasn't back in until it was his time to go again.
Yeah.
And that I didn't agree with because there's these resources that are helping you get ready. And then when you're done, then you should be coming back to help them get ready as well. So that culture was something that I noticed early, but I couldn't say anything, but it was something that I observed and I knew like, okay, if this ever becomes a position where I can help, I think that this is something we need to change with what we do.
Yeah. It's something I harp on every single day. It's why more people have come to our gym is that that guy's going to be there for you.
Correct.
You're going to help him. You're going to give blood and time for him. And as soon as he's done, he's going to hug you and give you blood and time back.
Yep.
And it makes all the difference, I think.
100%. I think, and that's the one thing I love the most was like, even this last camp with Julian and Dan, like we fought on the same day. And those two, watching them both win and then seeing their faces after and like seeing that hug. Because you as a coach, you watched it for the last 8 to 10 weeks. Yeah. And these guys in the trenches together. It made that win more beautiful that both guys were able to accomplish their goal together and share that time together. And that's what I think it resonates throughout the rest of the team when they see that.
I agree. Brings a higher value to all of it.
Correct.
Like we're trying to be good humans. Obviously fighting is our paint. We're trying to make art out of this, be the best people we can be. And humans need to work together, man. We'd still be not doing the things we're doing if we were doing it individually,
Yep.
Man, I love seeing that and hearing that. Like when I think you were talking about the people that you saw, and then seeing pictures still to this day of you holding mitts for Jay Huron in the gym.
Yeah.
That like warms my heart.
Yeah, Jay was such a huge influence on me, not necessarily from the MMA side of things. It was more of like, I think you have a path if you wanted to coach, and hearing that vote of confidence from Jay made me start really thinking about it more, right? Like when Jay's like, hey man, I think you have a leadership quality, you have this, but we can develop all the rest of the stuff as time goes on. But you got to just show up, you know? And then it would be like, all right, well, can I hold pads for you and learn how to hold pads? Yep, no problem. So Jay would give me, 30 minutes to an hour of his time, and I'd sit there and hold pads for him and learn. And then Ray Cepho, so now you're holding pads for world-class athletes and learning on the fly a lot of times. But having those guys that just gave you their time really helped me just develop into the coach I am today.
Well, and hearing him say that to you, how cool is that?
Oh,
that
huge.
He would take the time to mentor you, for lack of a better word. And then you said that Follis was the same. Robert was the same way with you. Said the same things.
Yeah, Robert was a huge influence on everybody, I felt like, especially into the gym. He had that Tony Robbins effect on you, but he also, I think he was able to articulate things to certain individuals that would help you understand what he's trying to get across. Like he was a chameleon. He can change his skin tone to help whatever person that he's talking to understand. Because the way he spoke to Misha was different than the way he would speak to Caraway or somebody else.
Yeah.
He had a gift of being able to connect to you and help you understand those things. And Robert was a huge influence on myself, but so many other people in that gym.
I didn't know him obviously as well as you did. You worked, close to him day by day, but like he was great. Whenever I ran into him in the warm-up room or in the hallway, he was so
he loved you, man.
Good. He was awesome.
Yeah.
He was so generous with his time and his knowledge. There wasn't anything he was afraid to tell you.
Sure.
Like, you want to see the secret that my guy just did to you in the ring? Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And you'd go back, find a pad, and he'd show you.
Sure would.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that about him, man.
Yeah.
And his love for growing people and growing the sport. I think that's missed in our day sometimes.
I agree. Yeah, he was so personable in a lot of ways, but he was always that, just like you said, he didn't want to keep secrets. So if he would have been able to beat you with something, even if it was just like rolling with him, and he beat you with it, he expects you not to get beat with that again because he's going to show you the right way to defend it, or the right way to work around it.
Was he always like that with you?
Yeah, a ton. Like everything he ever did with me was, I'll never forget the conversation. We were in Kansas City, and I don't remember who we were cornering, but one of the fights were over, and we were drinking an old fashioned, just hanging out, and that was kind of our thing. And I remember him looking over at me, and he said, one day your fight IQ and all your skills will catch up to your leadership. He goes, when that happens, you'll be one of the best coaches to ever do this.
Well, he was right.
I appreciate that. But sitting there looking at him and hearing that from him, at that moment, I was like, nah, there's no, like, what are you seeing in me that I don't see? But it was something that lit a fire under my ass, especially when he passed away, that I had to make good on that, what he said.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody, I'm thinking about coaching all the time. What makes good people? What makes good coaches? How do you motivate? And in our sport, that chameleon kind of ability to be able to talk to different athletes in different ways and what pushes his button. Of course, all coaches, football coaches need to do that, but they're responsible for the whole. Us, we're in there with one person.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? That's an amazing skill. And to hear you say, because Robert made me feel like he was paying attention to me.
100%.
Right? Like he was into whatever moment we had.
Looking right through you, man.
Yeah. And always.
Yeah.
I remember I flew in late. I don't remember where, but I jumped in the hotel. I was tired. And he was hanging out with some friends. And he literally saw me and like excused himself and walked right over to me and just was into that meeting. And I remember just feeling like, man, what a cool guy he is. Always
made you feel special.
Yeah.
In anything, man, like he was my guy. Like if you were going through a marital problem, he would, even if he didn't say a word, he was just the guy to sit there and listen and be there for you with whatever he needed, whatever you needed in that moment. You know?
He's a unique personality in the
100%,
sport,
yeah.
and 100% missed. You have a purple belt, I read. Who gave you that purple belt?
In what?
Jiu-jitsu.
I have a brown
shoot.
with Neil Melanson.
All right.
Neil Melanson.
I didn't see where it came from. I was curious.
It was Neil. Well, so when we started at Xtreme, we never had gi.
Yeah.
We didn't have gi at all. So I think Neil was kind of an outcast when it came to his grappling style and stuff like that, because he wasn't under anybody under gi, and there was a lot of problems with that back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think now that the sport's been more accepted as far as the no gi element goes, I trained really under Vinny.
Yeah.
And
Vinny's amazing.
Yeah, and that was my guy. So my daily grappling regiment was either Pyle, Vinny, or Dennis.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
You got in there, boy.
Yeah.
Had some great people.
Neil was always great. He just had it was like, I wouldn't say he would get pissed if you're training with other people, but that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
And Vinny and I were very close personality wise, but I always appreciated him allowing me to learn and work. And Neil was just mean, tough, mean, tough.
He's a big human
too, human being, man. So you get done rolling with those guys and your neck hurt, your fucking knees are going to get blown out and all that other shit, where, for me, rolling with Vinny would just Vinny was getting ready for ADCC. I think that was when he beat Verdum that year. Yeah. So he's like, yo, I need you. Be here every day and we're going to do this, this, and this. And I'm just, all right. So I get to train with that guy day in and day out. So, and then when Robert came to the gym, he started the gi program.
Oh, okay.
Robert started the gi program. And then for whatever reason, man, I just never wanted to throw on the gi. Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I do wish I would have gone back and done, especially now that Robert's gone. Had I known, I would have loved to have been a black belt under Robert. Right. But it was at the time, it's okay, you put all your eggs in the grappling basket for such a long time. Now let's start learning how to be a better coach and striker and holding pads and all that. So I invested so much in the other side of it. Yeah. And knowing that, now I really wish I would have done more with Robert before he passed.
Well, watching you work, you're a great striking coach. I know you're a great coach. So it's not like I didn't think you knew, but seeing that, I just didn't even know that you had trained before.
That was all I did. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's all I did. So that was actually my first coaching job at the gym. That's
a story that reminds me of Elio Gracie.
Yeah.
Because Elio used to not train. He just watched his brothers train. Mm-hmm. One day, the private didn't show. His brother didn't show. Yeah. He took the class. The guy liked it. And Elio started going. That's your story.
Yeah, pretty much how it went. So exactly what happened was there was a guy training at the gym, a Brazilian guy, didn't show up. And Randy was in a pinch and he's like, hey, can you run this Friday practice at 11? I said, sure. Yeah, no problem. Kind of threw me to the wolves. But it was 6 guys in there and they're all members. They weren't pro fighters or anything like that. But what happened was I fell in love with that class so much. I wanted, he's like, hey, it's yours. You have it. It's yours now. So I wanted to build it. I wanted to make it something special. So I was promoting it. I was getting people in there. So I would have 17 to 18 people coming in and really took a lot of pride in putting a curriculum together.
That's awesome.
So then Vinny would start coming in just to do class. And I wasn't showing, it was showing him anything, right? We weren't doing anything like that, but it was I think the enthusiasm and then the intensity of the class he would run and the way we would do things. And then if there was a technical thing that would come up, I'd be like, hey, Vin, show him blah, 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 blah. We would run some, Z-guard or some details. Yeah. And then we go right back to our training session to the point where it got so big that Randy's like, all right, now you got Wednesday. Nice. So I'd have Wednesday and Friday. So that was my 2 grappling classes.
What a great way to cut your teeth. Yeah. As soon as I heard you talk about that, I was like, man, that throws back to the Elio story.
Yeah, 100%.
That's super cool. And then you've done so many great things, championships, great fighters. I was curious what you're thinking about coaching now as opposed to coaching then. Have things changed, do you think? How have you changed? Because the modern, you especially being here in Vegas. Yeah. It's now turned into the hub for the UFC and a hub for fighting worldwide. Do you find difficulties in that? Or the positives and negatives in that?
Ebb and flow. I think now I don't take things as personal as I once did. I think there was a time when you and I were talking about people gym hopping. This is 5-6 years ago, and you and I had this conversation about, you invest so much time and energy and love into people, and you feel like you're owed that time back, or you're at least invested so much into this person. But the reality of it is it's the fight game now. No one's really. Let's say that they're not honorable, but they're always looking for the quick fix or the quick win or the quick this. to the point where now, like, I just really invest in the people that they've invested back into me. You know, guys like Danny Ige, you know, and Puna and Jeremy Kennedy, Kai Kamaka, those types of individuals that they still feel that I add value to them, but they also add value to me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy working with them. You know, I always say you have your get-tos and your got-tos. I get to coach these individuals. It's an honor to be able to. I get to show up, and then you have like, I got to go do this or I got to go do that. I want to eliminate the got-tos. I want to have all the get-tos because it just means more to me to be able to do that with the people that you enjoy and you love.
How do you feel about social media and the almost ridiculous immediacy you have? You know, like, one of my least favorite things is when people interview losers. Losers is the wrong word. They've interviewed the loser of the match right afterwards. And can you give that guy 20 minutes, please? So literally you walk out of the cage and you get to give whatever opinion you want. And then there's 5 different outlets asking you 5 different questions. For me, it's the thing that drives me crazy because young fighters think that equals success. You know, looks on their Instagram, you know, somebody said this about them, Joe Rogan liked my video, whatever it is. It's like, dude, you still can't fight yet. You can, but stop focusing on that. Do you feel like that's an issue?
Yeah, and I mean, it's an unfortunate part of what we have to deal with now. And I think a lot of that too is a byproduct of the fact of like we lost sponsorships. So everything kind of shifted over to social for us because now we can't wear their logos, we can't do this, we can't do that. So the only way a lot of these guys are able to supplement any sort of income is through their social media, and that really takes on a lot of their action. So even watching like my children, it's an important thing now is this social media, whether it's a positive or a negative. It's like teaching them how to shoot a gun, right? They're going to use it. Got to learn how to do it, you know? So, and then, you know, I learned that the hard way this past February with, you know, taking that interview with Ariel the day after Sean lost, wearing that on my sleeve, going in and saying things that were probably not worded correctly the way I needed to word them. And then, you know, really just wearing a loss, right? And then looking back at it, you know, I should have done better in those situations, but I don't regret it because it was a learning experience for me too. Yeah. So, you know, it's funny how this now, MMA journalism is not journalism anymore.
No.
They're just taking things and they like you go on right now, Conor McGregor tweeted this.
Yeah.
And there's 15 outlets that are just reposting a Conor McGregor tweet just for the clicks and the views.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not journalism. No. They're not doing anything at all.
And then they value the people, the idiots on the bottom that are commenting, whatever they're commenting.
The engagement.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. So like, you know, even with the Sean thing this week, like some influencer wanted to come in and Sean sparred him. Goes everywhere, right? And because it's Sean and he's sparring an influencer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have guys that are in there busting their ass and putting good practices together and doing all this, but this is what's going to get the clicks, the views, the likes, you know. And it's sad to this point now. I mean, we're old school, so you know, we had MySpace.
You didn't have to go there.
Yeah.
But it devalues sometimes the process of getting good, which is there's no getting around it, right?
Right.
Conor maybe is the all-time great of saying the right thing at the right time, but he was able to back up all that stuff at
100%.
Least back in the day. You know, his performances spoke louder than his words, and that's why he gained all that notoriety, fame, whatever, negative, positive. But early in his career, all he ever talked about was his teammates and his coaches and how hard he worked. And then it turned into, you know, he was amazing in front of the camera. So all of that came together. I feel like sometimes we just see the in front of the camera stuff, or at least the young athletes see that.
Yeah, and that to them, I think, takes more focus than the time on the mat.
Yes.
The time training, you know. I say this to a lot of the young guys when they're like, why, you know, you talk to them why they're late or why they're missing a practice or whatever they can't get done that day. I make them open up their phone. I want to see what their screen time looks like. What's that screen time look like?
They're scared to look.
And they're like, oh shit. So, you know, it might be an accumulation over the entire day, but if you tell me you have 3 hours of Instagram throughout the entire day, you can't hit an extra run, you can't hit an extra drill session, you can't do this.
Dude, chop an hour off that.
Dude, let's go.
No, you don't even have to give it up entirely.
Yeah. But don't you love too, like when you have guys you don't have to babysit?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's the best feeling in the world. Like I don't have to worry about what Francis is doing or Dan's doing.
Yeah.
Like you just know that these guys have this championship mindset to the way they perform and the way they show up.
And Dan, you know, again, I know Dan through you vicariously and just seen him, but what a solid human being he is, you know?
Yeah.
Just does the right thing, gets the results he gets, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but you know that he has put whatever he needs in there.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't look back and go, man, I wish you'd worked harder.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have hit that other class. I should have done my other sparring.
Yeah.
And I love the athletes like that.
Me too. He's the guy that, like, we've lost, but we've never lost and gone, I wish you would have done more, or I wish you would have worked harder.
Yeah.
Sometimes somebody's better than you.
Yeah.
And that's that. But at the end of the day, when you are literally leaving no crumbs behind, as a coach, you're like, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
It still hurts. It's, you know, you want that guy to win, but you're at least okay with it when you know this guy's giving his all.
Yeah. I heard that saying and I liked it a lot. I don't remember the context, but lost but never defeated.
Sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because as a human, he's winning. Like just
Yeah.
what we talked about. He's a better man for the experience. And you know, those are my favorite athletes.
Yeah,
and
me
that's
too.
what, for me, probably for you as well, that's what makes coaching so great.
Love showing up for guys like that.
Yeah,
you know,
because you're
like,
all going together.
exactly.
Like we're all doing this together.
Exactly. And he's such a silent leader. He's a different leader in many ways. He's the guy that if, as a coach, if a young person came in and said, who should I be like? And you could just go and point at Dan, just watch Dan, watch Kai. Just watch them. They're not going to say a whole lot of anything, but you can learn so much by just watching them and watching their work ethic.
Yeah, I do that with Mario Bautista.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just point at Mario, just do what he does.
Just do what he does,
and when
man.
Benson was making, you know, and he still does it. He's a, you know, busy father of 4 now, 41 years old.
Yeah.
But I just point at Mario, just follow him, do every class he does, do everything the way he does it.
Yeah.
You'll be just fine.
Dude, what a phenomenal guy Benson is, man. I love that dude. I love seeing him on the road, and like we just have short, small interactions, but he's such a good dude.
You'd get along. I mean, you do get along with him great, but he's like Dan Ige. You know?
Yeah.
He's a golden human being for sure.
Yeah, good dude.
Hey, so how does you know, I again follow you kind of vicariously in your life, and see how your family runs, because coaching is so hard on relationships, and so it does take a special kind of person to make it work, I think, with a coach, don't you?
Yeah.
And I wanted you to speak a little bit about that, because you know you have it's a perfect looking family. I know perfect is relative, right? But man, what a great family you have.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm not here without my wife allowing me to be the coach and person I am today. But not only that, when you share your dreams and your aspirations to somebody and they push you on the days when you don't have it in you.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like and we need that, because there's times when, you know, you and I might not be motivated as we once were to work with certain individuals. But when you put something out there, you put a task at hand and they know what that task is or what that goal is, you know, there's days that they're gonna be the ones that kind of help you steamroll that thing. And she's been that for me. Thankfully that we're high school sweethearts, so we've been together for a long, long time. And we know each other very well. Yeah. And the best part about our relationship is she'll call me on my shit. So if there's something I'm slacking in, or I'm not doing what I need to be doing, or I'm not being the best dad I can be, or whatever it may be, she has no problem of telling me that. And I think that's the most important part of what I look for in any relationship that I have is, you know, my dad always had this saying that I love you too much to leave you the way that you are. Yeah. And I need to hear those things. Like, you know, you and I talk all the time. I talk to Dean Thomas all the time. People like that I want to have around me, because if they see something that we're doing wrong, they're not afraid to tell me, because it's not about my ego. It's about they care enough to tell me because they want to see me get better. And that's always been my wife, you know? So very fortunate to have somebody like her and allow me to do what I get to do, and not only allow me, but supports it fully. Yeah. You know? You know, you talked about, I think with Misha, about how sometimes when you're gone for a long time, you step in and you're like, am I good? Yeah. Is it okay if I come in? I feel that too. When you said it, I felt it in my soul. Isn't that funny?
Like, you guys are fine. I guess I'm just going to.
Right. We good? Can I take a nap? Like, I don't know how this works.
Man, who'd the kids get the wheels from? That's what I want to know.
The wheels are from me. The athleticism, I think, all around is from my wife.
Well, you have your 3 children are all great athletes.
Great athletes, yeah.
Man, so your daughter, I just saw you go to UT, right?
Yeah.
How'd the visit go?
Amazing. She loved it. So she tried out with the dance team. She did great. It was like a 3-hour intensive with the team. They loved her. So the week before she was at UCSB. UCSB wants her there. That's Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
She's got South Carolina and Tennessee, a couple other schools lined up. So it's really up to her on what she wants to do. I like UT for her because I just have so many people that are there in case she needs something.
Something goes wrong.
Exactly. And it's a 2-hour flight. It's not too far. My good friend's the athletic director at UT. So she has some juice and she has some ways in. But I just feel like Austin is a great city for her for the type of person that she is and personality-wise. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit pushing her, but we'll see what she wants to do.
Austin's cool, man.
Yeah,
like it's a
cool
good,
city.
like almost an artist city.
Exactly.
You know, lots of fun things.
It feels like California in Texas. You know,
does.
it's very liberal in its own little bubble, kind of, but it's perfect for her.
And then your youngest daughter. I don't know why nobody covers her on the football
wants
field.
to cover her.
I think I message you every time.
Yeah. What the hell?
Hey, somebody needs to cover number 10.
Yeah.
Because she's wide open on
blow
every
the top
play.
off the defense, man.
Is she enjoying football?
She loves it. She loves it. So she was a very, very good soccer player. And then her club team like dissolved. So she was in between club teams, wasn't sure what she wanted to do, missed like a tryout. And then she's like, well, now I don't have anything. I'm like, no. Let's go play flag. So her and I have been playing football together since she could walk.
Yeah.
So I knew she can throw. I knew she can catch. So I was like, why don't you try, flag? So she gets on an all-girls flag team, and they play boys every week. And these girls are killing it.
Torching them.
Killing it, And they're not winning all the games, but they're competing against boys, So it was good. So I'm like, hey, you can ball. Like, you can play. So she tried out for Coronado as a freshman, made the JV team, and then so she played both. She played JV and freshman, and had 49 touchdowns between the two. But
it seemed like every video you put up, she caught a touchdown.
Yeah, she was scoring.
Just this blonde hair ripping down the field.
So she can run. She's fast. Catches the ball well with her hands, And
catches it up in the air.
Yeah, she goes after it. So that's like my pride and joy as being a receiver, is watching her go up and attack the football.
That's awesome.
It's like, you got to attack the ball.
And she's only a freshman?
Yeah,
or she'll be a sophomore.
She'll be a sophomore next year.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And the flag football is really blown up for
it's huge.
Girls.
So the moment they announced like the Olympics for women's and flag, like I've never seen her more motivated, because there's a girl that was on Coronado's flag that made the American whatever for the tryouts for
Team USA.
Team USA, exactly. So she sees somebody at her own school make that, and it's like, the Roger Bannister, the 4-minute mile, like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it.
For
sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, dude, like you can do this.
And then Knox is nobody catches that guy.
Yeah, he
scores a touchdown on every play, I think.
Yeah.
Is he so fast?
It's funny. So 2 nights ago, he asked to race Avery. He's like, I want to race you. And I'm like, bro, she's gonna smoke you. She's gonna smoke you. And he's like, no, I can beat her. And then she just right off the line, and Avery's gone. And he does that like 2 steps, and he knows he's already beat.
Yeah.
He comes up grabbing his groin,
my knee.
grabbing his groin. And I was like, I told him straight up, I was like, hey, are you hurt, or did you really are you injured? Like, what happened? He's like, well, and I said, listen. Always race your sister. I said, you always want to try to race somebody faster than you, right? You want to chase somebody, right? Just so don't think about getting beat. You just want to just keep chasing your sister, because she's always going to be.
But never defeated,
exactly,
baby. Just keep going.
Exactly. So
it's amazing to see that. I love it. Like, it makes me happy to see you enjoying them, your wife yelling in the background.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Man, I appreciate you doing this.
Dude, my pleasure.
Like, man. I'm a big fan of you. Like, I wanted to end with your family, because I think that's where it all starts, and that's where it should all end for us.
Yeah. How do you feel about everything with yours, as far as like, I want to ask you this question, because when I met Teddy Atlas, the first thing Teddy got on me about was coaching too many fighters.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he said to me, right? Like, this is a guy that I think we all look up to in combat sports. Yeah. And I spent an hour with him, and we didn't talk one technique about boxing or MMA or anything.
He's such a worldly kind of guy.
Sure.
Yeah. He talked to you about family.
Yeah. He just said, how many guys are you coaching right now? And I was like, I don't know, 20, 30, whatever. And he's like, no, cut it in half. Too many. It's way too many, it was just an eye-opening experience for me. So I think like when I run into you, because I know how much you're on the road and how much you're coaching and doing all, it's like, how do we maintain that? How do we juggle that part of our lives and give as much as we do? Because everything that we do, we're giving 110% of ourselves, right? I think we're in a position of servitude, really is. So the nice thing that I love about my relationship with you and other coaches that like I look up to is that we are able to lean on one another and talk about things that a lot of people will never understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis. You know, even our own family, like they don't get a lot of that stuff. You know, very rarely who's checking in on you.
Yeah. Well, my wife feels like that sometimes. And it's been tough a couple of times, you know. Like we got married when I was doing this. So she married a MMA coach. But it was just Alvin Robinson and Ben Henderson at that time. I had 2 guys. And now there's, you know, like Xtreme Couture, who knows, 100 people in the room.
Right.
And it's very hard to balance energy and effort, and, you know, missing volleyball games or basketball games or this, whatever, being there to take pictures for their prom.
Yeah.
You know, like it's heartbreaking. But, you know, I want my kids to grow up chasing something they love.
Sure.
You know, and to do that, there is sacrifice involved in anything you do.
Yeah.
Like you're going to give something.
Right.
You know, so either you give one side or the other. There's no full package, I don't think.
Do you ever talk to your kids about like, are you guys okay with what I do or how they feel about what you do?
We talk all the time, but it's not like that. You know, I'll always like call, my wife takes films of the game. Like, you know, your flag football films.
Sure.
Because I see you post those from the road sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And she'll send my son, like, my son loves basketball. So like, oh, he scored 15 today and he did this, and there's films of it, and I'll call him after the game, and it's not as good.
Right.
But he understands.
Yeah.
You know, I think he wants that for me.
Yeah.
He knows I want that for him.
Yeah.
And otherwise it hasn't really been too bad.
Yeah.
Other than you got to just always monitor it. It's always adjusting, and it's like surfing. You can't stay in the same spot.
Right. How do you feel like when you're on the road? Do you stay in contact a lot, like the whole time, or like does it get kind of? For me, it sometimes I think takes away a little bit of my mental space when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
But are you like FaceTiming all the time, or how are you with that?
No, not all the time. You text or call a couple times a day.
Sure.
Bedtime. You know, if there's a basketball game or
check in.
You know, somebody does something. If there's something important. But I'm not one of those guys. You ever had one of those guys that just walks around on FaceTime the whole time?
Yeah.
What is that? My wife doesn't like me that much.
How are you about like guys that are on the road with their spouses?
It's weird.
Yeah.
And like we talked about before, it's just that individual kind of how does it make them better?
Sure.
And that evaluation, I think, has to come to be part of it. But it does take their energy away.
Yeah.
And if that spouse isn't like dialed with the team, it's weird.
Yeah. I remember, I won't name his name, but I remember being on the road with Ige, and the guy was the main event or co-main event, and he was there with his wife and brand new baby. And the wife was like so demanding of the fighter all week. And it was like, look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the baby. And I remember looking at Dan going like, dude, there's no way this guy fucking wins this fight just off the energy systems around him.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, have you ever felt like I've done this? I've spoken to a wife before and been like, help me help you bring more money to your household because you're not helping the situation.
No. You're definitely taking away
Yeah.
where his focus needs to be.
Sure.
You know, and of course he's going to worry about you. Of course he wants to be a great dad and a great husband. But for these 4 days,
let me take over this.
I mean, that's always a hard conversation, you know, because depends on the level of the fighter. What is he feeling? Mm-hmm. If he feels like it's necessary, if it's good for you to wear your lucky socks, got to wear your lucky socks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, but if it does to you, let's get those socks on, you know?
Yeah.
So,
do you have any rituals? Are you that guy? Do you have
no,
any
I
rituals?
used to be.
Me, yeah. Me
I
too.
used to be bad.
Yeah.
When I played football, man, if I didn't have the right stuff, this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
And then I met Ben Henderson, and not one damn thing matters to him.
Yeah.
You could change everything. Like, he forgot shorts. He didn't bring this. He was missing that. He fell asleep before our WC debut. He fell asleep on the mat.
Oh, shit.
Completely asleep.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think this is good, man. And none of it mattered.
Went out there,
never
did his
did.
thing.
And so I've learned from him.
Yeah.
Kind of spoiled me for other guys that need it to be perfect.
Sure.
Because there's no such thing.
Yeah.
The thing that you need is the thing that's going to fall apart.
Exactly.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
So I used to be like that.
Dude, it's
I
so
try
bad.
hard not to.
Yeah, so bad. I'm like, I got to cut my nails and shave. And like before games, I was that way. Like I wanted to be cleaned up and ready to go. And it was always like my pregame ritual. So I always kind of took it at MMA. Then I'm like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, why do I don't need to have like my lucky coin, and have this on me and have that.
Because it'll go wrong.
Oh yeah. Because
at some point
you forget
in time,
it.
And now you're not,
and we're doomed. That's why we lost. Shit.
Yeah, I was bad as a young man.
Yeah.
And now that I'm old, I try to, if I feel that, I try to fight against it.
Yeah, right.
So I need to shave. I'm definitely not shaving. I'm not shaving at all.
Yeah, yeah. So just to prove the point.
Yeah. Then it doesn't matter one way or the other. Man, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're literally, man, like the best. And I love the way you combine your community at your gym, your community at your house, the love you have for your family, into being a good man with the whole thing. So
thank you, brother.
You're setting the standard for us all. I'm going to have to work harder.
No, get out of here. No, you raised the bar, and I look up to you too, Coach, and thank you for having me, bro. It's always nice to be on this journey with people that understand what we go through.
Yeah, you're the best.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Thank you.